So 2 weeks ago, I started a series of lessons on this book, E Squared. And it's a book that links physics and our belief system. In the book, there are 9 experiments, and the experiments are for us to do so that we can know for ourselves that the spiritual principles we teach are true. So last week, the spiritual principle that we were testing, and the principle was the dude abides. The theory is that there's an invisible energy source or field of infinite possibilities that is ours for the asking. And we gave you a lab sheet to take home. And we asked that you pick a time, and for 48 hours, ask for a blessing and see if you got a blessing. Now, what I want to know is, did anybody do the experiment? Okay. So if you thought that you had a good blessing, would you stand up? Okay, what was your blessing?
More friends in my life.
More friends in your life. You can sit down now.
It's kind of a long thing.
Okay, then I'll come back to you.
Something that was supposed to cost $29 was marked down to $1.
Within 15 minutes, I was supposed to wait like 20 minutes to find out what was wrong with my phone, and I had to wait like 1 minute.
1 minute. Pass it to Tom.
Well, I had a blessing, a financial blessing, which I guess was my experience.
And I had a bill I thought I was supposed to pay that wasn't there. It was great. I got my checkbook ready, and I didn't have to pay nothing.
Great.
I had an estranged grandson call me and give us his address.
Ooh, big blessing.
My family and I are facing a very challenging situation for quite some time now. And I was asking for a breakthrough on that situation. And for the right inspiration, divine mind to inspire me to approach the situation in a totally different way. And I finally had a call, unexpected call, letting me know that it was a breakthrough. And now we can see the positive side of it, and that relative is finally overcoming that challenging situation.
I moved your pictures down the hall, to the wall down the hall, by the way, just as an aside.
I was looking for an art commission, and then I realized I was working on one from last year, Skimmers on the Beach, that only come out from March to May. And somebody wanted a skimmer painting, and I'm going to call them and see if they want it. If they don't, that's okay.
I took one of those surveys on the receipt like months ago, and then actually within 24 hours after I did the experiment, I got a call that I won a $1,000 public gift card.
Well, I decided to be really brave, and I expected some unexpected money in 48 hours. And I got a refund check.
Out of about 215 people, they drew my name out of the hat for a weekend getaway, bed and breakfast getaway.
My youngest granddaughter has been searching for a job ever since she got out of college 3 years ago. And I heard this week that she got one.
So next week we have a guest, musician and speaker. So you're going to have an extra week. So if you didn't do last week's experiment, let me encourage you to go back and do that so that you can find the blessing in your life. This week, the principle is the Volkswagen Jetta principle. And all of you immediately know what that means, don't you? The minute you start looking for something, you find it. And it even works if you look for nothing. You can find nothing. And I'll explain that as we go along. I have a story, and it comes out of the Unity Treasure Chest, which is let's just say the book is elderly. Okay? I mean, I'm not sure exactly when it was written, but I can say that it was probably written before some of you were born. And there's a story in it, and this is a story by a nurse who wrote the story, who wrote, like in the front of Daily Words, there's those little anecdotal stories. So this is a woman who wrote a story, and her name was Hilda Green. And Hilda was a nurse here in Florida, and she was a nurse back in the time when you hired nurses to go home with moms and babes from the hospital. And so she was staying at a lady's house named, I don't even know the lady's name, she didn't tell me, but the lady had a new baby, and she had a little girl named Carolyn. And the patient had a lot of books and papers with the name Unity on them. And she says, little books. And so most of all of us who've been in Unity a long time know that there were a lot of little books. And she said this lady kept trying to give her these little books. But she was annoyed rather than pleased. She said she didn't get Unity at that point from what the mom was saying, but the little girl, whose name is Carolyn, who is 8 years old, gave her a concrete example that all things whatsoever the Father hath are mine, are this week's Volkswagen Jetta principle. And the key to the principle is you impact the field of potential, the infinite possibilities. You impact it. You draw from it according to your beliefs and your expectations. Hilda says that she forgot how when you're a child you can have that heart of faith. Do you remember when you were a child and you had that ability to believe? You know, if somebody said they were going to do something, you really expected it. You didn't just think, well, they may or may not. One Saturday afternoon, Hilda was putting away the groceries that had been delivered from the grocery store. Dates this, doesn't it? And so she was putting it away, and Carolyn said, "Did you get any bananas? I love bananas." And Hilda said, "No, but I'll get you some next Tuesday when I order again." And Carolyn says, "But I really, really want them today." Hilda followed Carolyn a little later and looked, and she was in her bedroom, and she was praying, and she says, "Dear Jesus, I know you have lots of bananas, and I know that you are willing for Mother and Nurse and me to have some. So please send us half a dozen today. Thank you, amen." Now, Hilda was kind of shocked because that was, she hadn't dealt with that and that kind of faith. And at dinner that night, Carolyn said, "Miss Hilda, how long does today last?" "Till bedtime for you, my dear," said Hilda. "No, I mean tomorrow. When does tomorrow start?" And Hilda said, "I see what you mean. Today lasts until 12 o'clock. Carolyn says, I hope God sends my bananas before bedtime. And Hilda said, she didn't want Carolyn to be disappointed. She said, but, look, it's raining and the roads are bad. Just don't be disappointed if you don't get them. This is what Carolyn says back. You must not know God as I do. He won't disappoint me. He never does. And at bedtime, Carolyn said, Miss Hilda, will you wake me when my bananas come? And Hilda said, well, of course, dear, I'll wake you when your bananas come. At 10:45, Carolyn woke up and said, have my bananas gotten here yet? Hello? No, not yet. Go back to sleep. And Carolyn said, but it is still today if my bananas haven't gotten here. Carolyn's faith had not given out. And Hilda said, yes, today has another hour and 15 minutes. Hilda said she was really amazed that there were no misgivings that came into the child's mind. She was sure that they were going to come. And within the next 45 minutes, there was a car that drives up. Somebody rings the doorbell. And when Hilda goes to the door, it was the minister and his wife. And the minister said, I woke up and felt like there was something wrong, that I needed to come. Is everything all right? This really dates us. And Hilda said, well, everything's fine. And the minister said, I was just so sure I needed to come, that for some reason I needed to drive out here. And his wife said, and we went to the store today and we have some bananas we want to give you. Now, you and I laugh at this story because it's almost incredulous. And Hilda said, then she told the minister, no, was something wrong, and there was a reason you came. You came to prove to this child that God was listening. They went and woke up Carolyn and gave her a banana, and she was happy. 7 minutes till midnight. Before Carolyn went back to sleep, she said, thank you, Jesus. Later, as we talked it over, she said to me solemnly, Miss Hilda, when you want something, if you want anything, ask God for it. He owns everything, and he'll give it to you. Hilda wrote about that because she said as the months went on, that child's simple faith, her trust, her belief, her unwavering faith touched her heart, that she realized that she didn't have unwavering faith, unwavering belief. Here's some quotes. Shakespeare said, thoughts are things. The Secret Master Keys, this is an excerpt from that. Thought, therefore, is the cause, and the experience with which you meet in life are the effect. James Allen, in that little book, As a Man Thinketh, all that man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the direct results of his own thoughts. Way back a long time ago, Marcus Aurelius, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. From Buddha, with our thoughts we make the world. From A Course in Miracle, there is no such thing as an idle thought. Any thought, change that, all thought creates form at some level. There is no such thing as an idle thought. All thought creates form at some level. And what did Jesus tell us? How much faith did he say we had to have? Faith the size of a grain of mustard seed. Whatever you ask, believing. Quantum physics puts it this way. There is no such thing as objective reality. The observer is an integral part of what he or she is observing and influences the outcome. No such thing as objective reality. That means that everything is possible. That you and I have an effect on that. In the book, there's a great story about Findhorn. If you don't have the book, I'd invite you to go online and read about the history of Findhorn. The people that started it, Eileen and Peter Caddy, out in the middle of Scotland, in northeast Scotland, have made a mecca, a spiritual mecca. And just read about it, because they talk about how what they looked for came about. And so that's something that you can go online and look at. I'm just aware that it's already 12 o'clock, so that's why I'm not telling you about it. St. Augustine said, faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. On your little sheet, the little Jetta principle sheet, one of the statements on it says, I will see it when I believe it. This week, you get an opportunity to try that out, because our experiment only takes 48 hours. The first 24 hours, she wants us to look for sunset beige cars.
What is sunset beige?
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And the second 24 hours is to look for butterflies or purple feathers. And I want you to be prepared, because I didn't know what sunset beige was. I said, I'm not looking for sunset beige cars, because I won't know it when I see it. So I was leaving Holmes Regional Hospital, driving to Lake Washington and Wickham. And as I left, I said, I'm going to look for purple cars and orange cars. Because, I noticed in the parking lot mostly black, white, green, blue, and red. So purple and orange it was. Before I got home, I saw 7 orange vehicles. And I saw 19 purple vehicles. Now, Gerald and I had some discussion, because he said some of those cars aren't really purple. And I got out the color, I went online and looked at the color wheel. Anything between blue and red is purple. So when you leave here and you start looking, you're going to see some cars that are more purple than they are red, that are called red. I saw 19 cars that looked purple to me. So I'm thinking yesterday, because I know I'm going to talk about this today, that I picked colors that were too easy. I thought, what about, that horrible lime chartreusey green color? I drove out onto Lake Washington, and I had gone 1 block before off of Croton comes this little truck, and I don't know if it was a reproduction or if it was a restored truck. It looked like one of those little old, like a Ford Model T truck kind of little truck, old kind of truck. It was that putrid funny green. I'm thinking about this, so I'm back over by Holmes Regional. And as I'm leaving there, I'm thinking, okay, I got to make it harder. Let's see striped cars. I pull up to Hickory and NASA at the light there, and I look over, and there are all the Fiats, and they got a bunch of striped Fiats. So I turn and go toward home, and I tell you not that you will not believe this. Coming right at me was the orangest car with the black stripes you have ever seen. Whatever you look for, whatever you expect, if you do this experiment, you will see how true that is. We drove to Orlando and back, and I wasn't even counting then. I was just pointing out cars to Gerald, and got to me where he was saying, orange truck. I saw 3 vehicles that I believe would be what sunset beige looks like. At least it does to me. But I wasn't looking for them. Well, I was kind of aware of them, but I saw 3 vehicles, and I said, I bet that's the color they're talking about. So I'm just telling you to do the experiment. Make it as outlandish as you can. I thought when I said purple cars and orange cars, and I saw so many, I thought I hadn't made it hard enough. This book has experiments to prove to you some truths. One of the truths is that we have millions and millions and millions of bits of information coming at us at all the time. And we have these little blinders on, and we can only see a very small part of it. Our brain has to limit what it processes. And so we filter stuff out. So what this experiment showed me is that when I open the filter a little bit, I see lots more things. I totally believe that I conjured up that little truck that was that funny green. I expected it. I got it. Butterflies. The case for my iPad has blue and green butterflies on it. So I said it had to be yellow butterflies. And I play some games on my iPad. I play some hidden object games because I believe they help you have memory, include your memory. I went to 2 different puzzles yesterday that were new, and they both had yellow butterflies in them. Driving on 528, a yellow butterfly flew across the road in front of our car, and both Gerald and I saw it. Yellow butterfly, yellow butterfly. I was putting away some, in this attempt to organize, putting away some wrapping paper. I'm trying to get all the wrapping paper from every, how you have little rolls of wrapping paper, and they might have one in this corner and one in that corner of this closet. I'm trying to get them all together in one place. Wrapping paper with yellow butterflies. I got a birthday card that came in the mail yesterday. It had a yellow butterfly on it. I don't know what you're going to pick to use for your experiment. But in the next 2 weeks, if you haven't done the first one, I would encourage you to do it. And if you don't have the printout, Gerald went and made us some, Maggie. If you need the printout, the little experiment sheet from last week, we have it. We can make more. You got the experiment sheet for this week. What you do is you pick a time and a date and you start it. And then if you think it's not working, or you think it's coincidence that you're seeing too many purple cars, try striped ones. Prove it for yourself so that you know it without a doubt. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn this lesson that whatever you think, whatever you believe, and whatever you expect has consequence. There was a college student on his way to see a football game between Penn State and Notre Dame, and he wanted to take his buddies, but he didn't have enough tickets. And he put a sign on his car window, "Need a ticket." And he's driving down the road, and all the traffic is going along, and he said he was going about 7 or 8 miles over the speed limit, along with everybody else. And a policeman pulled in behind him, turned his lights on. And the college student asked the police officer, "Why did you stop me? I wasn't going any faster than anybody else." He said, "But you're the only one that asked for a ticket." This week, I would invite you to put these physics principles to a test with these simple experiments. And by the time we get through experiment 9, you'll have a whole new set of beliefs. Have a great week.